Good day, hello, and thank you for joining. My name is Jeremy Meegan. I'm proud to introduce myself and our products today to you. I'm the channel sales manager responsible for Australia, New Zealand, Rockwell Automation at WIN-911 software. WIN-911, we are the most widely used notification software platform in the industry in IIoT. Without further ado, before we dig into the product, to give you guys a bit of background on who we are. So we're headquartered out of Austin, Texas. That's where our product was founded. We've been delivering alarm notification software since 1993. So originally WIN-911 introduced on Windows 3.1, the name WIN-911. 911 really being emergency response in the US, hence the name, alarm notification, which I thought is clever. Over the years, of course, we've really established a large network, largely through our partners like NHP, of distributors and system integrators that have delivered world-class support, and we've expanded into new territories. We've last year we hit our 18,000 installation mark. So really looking forward to delivering the latest products and seeing where we end up. So some industries served. Historically, we've done a lot of work in different water, wastewater treatment facilities, largely building our reputation, at least in the US, in those markets. But we've got a really diverse portfolio of applications that have a need for alarm notifications. So you think about a data center or a building management application, mining, whether it be remote oil and gas sites, right? There's really a need for notification in many different industries. We've seen tremendous growth in life sciences, different forms of manufacturing, process manufacturing, including food and beverage. And so for us, it's always been the same message: the right alarm to the right person on the right device. We've been doing the same. We've been delivering notification solutions since 1993. We've had a core focus on product integration with strategic alliances such as Rockwell Automation and the Factory Talk View platform. So to better depict our solution at a very high level, you can break it down into a three-step process, starting at your industrial alarm event. WIN-911 connects to HMI SCADA, right? Factory Talk, takes that information using our logic and WIN-911 dispatcher. We're able to intelligently push that information using two-way encrypted communications using your preferred notification method. So whether that be a maintenance technician responsible for some sensitive equipment that is receiving alerts on his mobile app, or perhaps a plant manager that's utilizing an email alert, or a combination. Really, the product is built around flexibility with types of alarms and the notification methods to be utilized based on the event. And WIN-911, a little under the hood, so we're really broken up into three main sets of components. Your notifiers, right? So that's going to be your WIN-911 mobile app. That would be your email. These are this is the module, or these are the modules that are responsible for sending the alarms and events to messages to operators, with the dispatchers really routing that information to the correct notification module which is getting that information, which is the dispatcher is ultimately interfacing with data source. So the dispatcher is the middleman, the brains that's really kind of connecting the different pieces. We're not going to go too deep into distributed WIN-911 installations today, but I will share with you that all of our notification methods modules can be distributed. All of the WIN-911 components can really be distributed across network layers. This includes your data source modules. For example, if WIN-911 is maybe installed in your control network and you want to use something like the mobile app, WIN-911 mobile, perhaps you would want to put your notifier in a DMZ or somewhere outside of that network layer, that control network, to connect to our web app. So since you need internet access, this allows you to leverage a DMZ or business-facing network. So some sample architecture, every environment's going to be a little bit different in terms of where we fit in the space. I would say this is an example of probably a larger scale, maybe a medium scale size type of application, but we are connecting directly to the alarm and event server, which resides in the PLC. So if you notice, there's a lot of intercommunication going on here, different protocols, right? Factory Talk Links, OPC, and the Factory Talk Direct Connect scenario. WIN-911 can really be installed anywhere in the directory as long as we have access to the Factory Talk services. You do need the Factory Talk View client installed as well on the WIN-911, or where the Factory Talk A&E module is installed, but it does not need to be licensed or running. And so again, we act as a client, Factory Talk View A&E client. So there is an add-on feature to your base license. So whether you have standard, interactive, or advanced, to get this single application connection, the WIN-911 FT add-on client is also required. And to try to simplify a little bit of the architecture with respect to Factory Talk, again, we broke down the main three sets of components. We've got our data source here, right? So we're communicating to the database. We're scanning and looking for alarms, and when the WIN-911 system registers that there's an alarm that is of interest based on the configuration, it goes to the next piece, the next step of the flow, which is the dispatcher logic that's looking to make sure that to see if there's any escalation. Is this person available on the schedule? And then again, really the third piece is really receiving and acknowledging alarms on mobile devices. So we're not going to go into any of the reporting today, but the reporting module is required to be installed in order to perform alarm acknowledgments, as well as request alarms. But again, using your preferred notification method, each notifier is handled independently and has its own requirements, whether that be a voice call, email, a mobile app alert, or SMS. So to drill down a little further into the notification methods we offer, WIN-911 mobile, this is going to be our latest and greatest offering. We introduced the smartphone app last year as part of a major release, or as a major update to our product. This is, I would say, by far the easiest to deploy. We stand behind making notifications easy and reliable. Certainly recommend the mobile app. This is going to be an Android or iOS smartphone app that allows for push notifications no matter where you are. Next would be SMS. We do recommend in Australia, New Zealand, NHP generally recommends to utilize email. If you want to send an SMS alert, you can also use an email server. But in some other regions, the SMS is popular as a cellular solution. And then voice, we offer a voice text-to-speech engine. We can send text SMS. As part of our Direct Connect, we offer two-way notification via smartphone app, SMS, voice, and email. Are the two recommendations and most we see the most. One Direct Connect advantage is we offer two-way notification methods via mobile app, SMS, voice, and email. As a recommendation, each notifier is handled a little bit differently, as I mentioned, has its own requirements. The mobile app is going to be an internet-facing notification method. This allows you to send smartphone app alerts to different any smartphone device, so it can be an iOS, any iOS or Android smartphone device, whether that be a tablet or phone. We'll be demonstrating our mobile app today. This is our latest notification method that we introduced last year. Next would be really SMS as a recommendation for Australia, New Zealand. NHP generally recommends using email. If you want to send text messages, you can leverage an email server and send text messages that way. That would be utilizing the email notification module. Voice is a very common option in many regions, but I would say not as popular in Australia. But we do support VoIP as well as analog phone lines. And then lastly, email. Again, this is we are an email client, so it requires a dedicated SMTP server configured in WIN-911. This is an example of an HTML format. You can also do a plain text. The different notifiers have custom formatting options. One of the nice things I like about the mobile app is the format to which you see the message is all done at the device level instead of configured in the WIN-911 system. So as a user, this really gives you much more flexibility versus having, if you're at home or on the other side of the plant, you can change the format to which you see your alarms. So again, WIN-911 Mobile, this is an Android and iOS supported app. We have really, this isn't our first smartphone app, but this is going to be our latest offering, included with both interactive and advanced WIN-911 licenses. So it's going to offer you a push notification via smartphone or tablet. No additional hardware required. So again, big advantage there is the easy deployment, the reliability, right? You're not relying on third-party hardware to connect. And then it does support multiple sites. So a use case there, whether maybe you're a system integrator and you support multiple WIN-911 systems, you could potentially sign in using a single login and access all your WIN-911 systems on one app. Another use case might be if in a situation, perhaps a utility company that's using WIN-911 in maybe in their power department and also on one of their SCADA systems in water treatment, right? So they could potentially, you could have a manager that's responsible for both sites added to the WIN-911 system, and so they could access alarms from both systems no matter where they're at. So again, push notifications using your preferred device. Security was a big update for us. Again, this is our we launched our first smartphone app in 2008. So this was a brand new app to us last year. We've got nothing but great feedback, both on the usability, but I think the security aspect has been a big improvement also. And then the team visibility, you can visibly chat within the app. You can also track your team. We'll go into some of those features in the demonstration, but you can also acknowledge alarms. So if acknowledgement privileges are allowed, this is often something that users like to take advantage of, so they don't need to remote into their SCADA system or be on site to act an alarm. And drilling down a little bit into the architecture, so we really have two different ways to use the app. Either option, you do need some form of internet access to take advantage of this feature. Now the WIN-911 system I mentioned is comprised of different components. So it doesn't require that each module or component is installed on the same machine. With respect to the mobile app, there are two options really. You can distribute your WIN-911 mobile hub, which is a component that comes with the product. This is going to serve as a proxy should you not have internet access where your WIN-911 mobile module or the entire rest of the software is configured. So this is not required if you have internet access directly on your WIN-911 server. But either way, whether it be directly through your WIN-911 machine or through the mobile hub, we are communicating entirely over HTTPS. We utilize what's called a WCF relay. The mobile app is hosted in Azure, or the web app is hosted in Azure, this is basically a handshake, which from an IT perspective, I think the biggest benefits is since it's all outbound initiated connections, whether it be from the mobile hub or your WIN-911 mobile module, it doesn't require bidirectional traffic on your firewall, unlike our older mobile 911 smartphone app. And again, so we're hosting the Azure, the web API in Azure. So this is an account that WIN-911 manages and hosts. So it does require that as a customer that you maintain your customer care subscription, which is your software support, to continue to use the mobile app functionality. And so initially we create this Azure account for it's tied to your license, and essentially we sign you up with a temporary password. we'll be going into the setup details here in the demonstration, but the last piece is really the push notification, right? So again, we're not storing anything in the cloud. We're not storing your Win-911 server in the cloud. We're really utilizing Azure as a source of user authentication and security, ensuring that only authorized users are receiving push alerts on their phone. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and dive into the product demo. Let me go ahead and pull up VMware here. So I've got a demo workstation set up. This is running Windows Server 2019 standard. I also have FactoryTalk version 12 installed here. We're just going to be using the FT View demo that's included with FactoryTalk View. And we'll be going through some basic configuration and how to set up Win-911 and deploy Win-911 mobile quickly. So there's two main components that are, I would say, frequently used in Win-911. One of them being the Win-911 workspace. This is going to be our configuration tool. This is where you set up everything from your defining your mobile account that we provide to creating the users that you want to allow notifications within for the mobile app. This is where you build your escalation, and this is also where you define your alarms and events. And so there's a number of things to be configured that can be configured in here. But today we're going to really just be focused on Win-911 mobile. I'll be showcasing a quick demo using FactoryTalk View and the FT View demo. So I recommend a top, you can really navigate two ways. You notice this says configure contacts, and there's a contact here. This will take you to the same place. So you can, if you prefer to use this navigation here, you certainly can. I'm used to using the top bar navigation. So I recommend a left to right, starting at the top. The main three components we'll be working through is going to be contact, notification, and alarming. So first we're going to go ahead and set up our contact. So within the contact, this is really going to be where you set up your notification methods. So your gateway is going to be how you get to the outside world, and your connections are going to be who we're connecting to and which notification method. So in this case, we're going to be focused on Win-911 mobile. So what I'll go ahead and do is pull up the Win-911 mobile gateway setup. I want to make sure I got my password right here. One moment. All right, so in this case, I do have internet connectivity locally. If I was going to use this mobile hub, you could enable here, and you define a single port, the host name here that you want to communicate to. It's assuming everything's correct here. The credentials should connect successfully, and what this means is that all we've done so far is we've connected this Win-911 system or site to the web app hosted in Azure. So in this example, I'm just calling it WTP. You can define the site name as whatever you'd like. This is what the name is going to show up as on the app. And then the username, this is something that we create with the license fulfillment. We initially create this along with a temporary password, and then the temporary password would then be updated by the system integrator or whoever's installing it. And then you would then configure your permanent credentials right within Win-911 mobile. So I'm not going to demo the first step. I've already updated my password at this point. So I can go ahead and save that. And then the next piece I'm going to go into is defining my connection. So your connections are really your people. Who are we connecting to? So we're not going to go through any of the other notifiers. Today we're just going to use mobile. Looks like I did have myself configured in here. I'm just using my WIN-911 company email. Really, you can use any email account that you want to tie into the WIN-911 system. If this person's not already set up, there's an option to send an invite directly through the WIN-911 UI. So I've tacked a role to this user as a manager. That's just a way to group people together. And then for the sake of the demo, I'll just leave the schedule as always available. One thing to keep in mind, by default, when you're setting up the system, the user will not be allowed to hack alarms unless you manually set them to allow a hack. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save that. The next piece we're going to focus on is our notification. This is really, the notification piece is focused on how alarm notification should take place, right? How the escalation should, whether that be an escalation list, what should happen after the alarm occurs. And this will be assigned and associated with your alarming, which we'll get to next. So first, I'm going to create a basic tactic. Your tactic is really just a notification list. So we'll just call this night staff, and I'm going to go ahead and put myself on the list. Again, if you did have several users set up, there are some license limitations by default, but essentially you can have one person on the list, or you can have 20 people. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. A few other things here. So you've got a delay before notification. This is good to use if you've got some chattery alarms. And your repeats is the number of times you're going to repeat going through the list until your stop condition is met, which we have not defined that piece yet. So for the sake of this, I'll keep it pretty simple. I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to go ahead and set up a strategy. Your strategy is really your notification policies, your start and stop conditions. This is what you're going to assign to your alarm subscriptions, which we'll go into here momentarily. So we'll just call this maintenance strategy. And I'm going to say start tactic. This is which group do I want to start notifying when this happens. And I want to stop when, I'll say when the alarm becomes acknowledged. You have some options here if you want to re-notify on any state change. I'm going to unselect that. If you did want to open up some more features, there's an advanced mode. But for the sake of the demo, we're going to keep it pretty simple. So the last piece here, now that we've got a user added, we have this user tied to a list, we've got some notification policies in place. Now is really drilling down and defining the alarms in WIN-911. So Factory Talk Alarms and Events offers a direct connect that is very dynamic. There's no importing alarm tags. The first piece that you're going to configure is your application. You can call this application whatever you want. We'll call this FTA View, FTAE Demo. I'm using the FT View Demo shipped with Factory Talk, so the application name does need to match, and it is case sensitive. Same applies for the username and password. I recommend using a Windows linked account. That's what I'm using in my demo, but you can also use a local account. And this is really going to test the credentials to ensure that's all set up correctly. So this is my, should be the same as my Windows login. If I go ahead and test connection here, looks like it came back successfully. And then you can also decide here if you'd like. There's some options in your subscriptions as well. But if you want to drill down to both alarms and events or just alarms. So I'll go ahead and save that. The next configuration step, we're going to go ahead and set up a subscription, a sample subscription. We're going to call this the high priority alarms. And so what's really dynamic with the FactoryTalk integration is we have some properties we can look into. So you in general, most of our customers don't want to hear about every alarm. So if you want to narrow it down to the more urgent alarms or severe alarms, we have some different ways to drill down and filter. So we currently can filter down based on a tag name, alarm class, alarm group, or severity range. You can use a combination of and or types of clauses, right? So if you wanted to, maybe you wanted to look at alarms that contain the word tank and were part of a certain severity range, right? You could say wildcard specific name tank and severity range 636 to 1000, right? So this would only catch alarms that were part of that matched either of these filters. For the sake of my demo, and I recommend utilizing the group names in FactoryTalk. The FTView demos very handy to demonstrate. There's already some groups set up based on priority. So I'm going to use the high priority group. There's also an urgent priority, as well as you can create custom groups within View Studio. So I'll go ahead and save that. So what I'm saying is I only am interested in alarms that are part of the high priority group based on this filter. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull up one other component here before I finish up the configuration for FactoryTalk. Our log viewer is going to be used for logging live alarms. You can also view historical data. You can export data, but these are the WIN-911 alarm logs. This is a great troubleshooting tool. If for some reason you're not getting an alert, you can see exactly what's dispatched, the different alarm state changes, and what we're logging. So I'll go ahead and leave that open. The next piece I'm going to configure, and the last piece, we're not going to go into watchdogs for this demo, is our subscription route. So I've created a subscription. I'm looking at all high priority alarms, but I haven't routed that to strategy yet. So I'm going to go ahead and select that high priority filter. I'm going to tie it to my maintenance strategy. I'm going to go ahead and save that. So if all is set up well, should be able to launch my View client. And it looks like I should start getting some alarms. So you can see here in my log viewer, while I'm waiting for that to launch, this alarm 6 just dispatched to mobile to Jeremy Meegan. So I'm going to switch screens real quick to show you guys what this looks like on the app. I'm waiting for that to pull up. There may be some other alarms that come in. Again, we're only looking at the high priority alarms. So what I'm going to do is a screen share on my phone. And we'll switch gears. So this is going to show you on a iOS device. Again, if you're using an Android device, it's going to look like an Android app. So to pull up the app, I'm going to go ahead and open that. And I'm already signed in. So if this was a new install, the first thing you would do is either sign in or use our demo server. You can see this line 6 or alarm 6. So I can drill down on this alarm. This format here is customizable, so I've got, you can see some different properties that have been given to me from the source. So I should be able to acknowledge the alarm here. Give it a second to update. Whoops. And so, yeah, so the alarm's been acknowledged. You can see it's cleared. So let me trip a few more alarms here in view. A second, they should start coming in. There's another one. So so again, so you should see some alarms coming in. So I'm going to switch back really quick. Before I do, I just want to show you a few things. As well as seeing the alarm state changes, you can chat within the app. So anybody that might be on your group, this is not stored in your WIN-911 server. This is just a push message that each user on the group would get. And you also have visibility into your team in terms of who's viewed the alarm and whether that person's available or not. So one feature I really like is this do not disturb. So if I go to my settings, do not disturb, you could say don't disturb me until Saturday. When I do that, you can see next to my name in the team tracker, there's an icon, the bell icon with a line through it. That means that person's in do not disturb. The eyeball open on the right means that person's viewed the alarm. And so you can see another one's come in. So I'm going to switch back here to my WIN-911 server so I can show you guys what I'm seeing on my side. So you can see right now I have this set to auto update. So I've only got the unacknowledged active alarm showing based on my stop condition. If I do the unselect the auto update, we can do a historical view. This alarm I act, you can see it went out, dispatched successfully at 3:18. It was acknowledged by Jeremy via mobile. The strategy that was executed, any state changes, right? And then if I look into my alarm history and view, I can see the detail here, right? So if I go in my alarm details, I can see the acknowledged username, right? Since we're using the Windows linked account, you can see it was act by the WIN-911 connection. So if it was an email act, you would be able to see that as well, and the connection name. So that is my demo. I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the PowerPoint. Let me turn some of these alarms off, and I will switch back here. One thing I didn't mention, if you do want to demo the product and maybe you don't have an instance of Factory Talk that you can attach to, you can certainly utilize our demo that we host. So there's a demo server. When you download the app, it gives you the option to either log in or to use our demo server. So again, we looked at a little deeper into the Factory Talk integration and how it's set up in WIN-911. So we are utilizing Factory Talk services. We act as a true A&E client, and we dynamically can receive alarms based on these alarm filters with the subscriptions routed to the right people. So again, really some advantages there. Dynamically receive your alarms, and all your alarm databases are maintained in your PLCs and Factory Talk, right? You're not maintaining two separate databases. and the acknowledgements are seamless. So in this example, I'm looking at all urgent priority alarms that are part of this group. I did want to share, you do get a single OPC connection with the base license. If you wanted to expose some some tags using factory talk links, this is our open source standard. You can connect to multiple applications. This is more of an importing and directing to different groups of people versus the direct connect advantage of dynamically looking into the database. So we went over our basic call out list or basic tactic. Again, this is just a single notification queue. This example would be starting at the top. It would start with an email to Bob, then an email to Alice, and an email to Joe, all the way down until the stop condition is met. So it's a simple notification queue. And we do have some advanced capabilities. This is unique to the advanced license. This is not something that I demonstrated earlier, but this is an alternative to the basic notification list that I just showed you. So starting at the green dot would be where the alarm event occurred. So what the way this is set up is it's really more or less a flow chart set up in WIN-911, a drag and drop workflow. And so the first variable is we're looking to see, is this alarm part of the water treatment plant storage tank alarm group, label? If it is, maybe you want to go to the next variable. Maybe it's not important if it's not, right? So if it's not, perhaps the next variable we want to look to see if this alarm's in a certain severity range. If it is, we want to take one action. If it's not, maybe we want to wait a period of time and then notify the operator group. So it can be pretty flexible. It's not required, but I think one of the biggest advantages are the role-based call-outs. So if you tag roles to certain users, this allows you to perform notification based on what that role is assigned. And then your advanced strategies, I didn't go too deep into that in my demo either, but your strategies are really your start and stop conditions. And so if with the advanced license, this allows you to do repeating timers. You can notify multiple groups based on the same alarm. It really just becomes more flexible. Again, not very often is this required, but it's just kind of a nice have. Keep in mind that the product does run in, when it's running in demo mode, it does include the advanced features. And a couple more pieces I wanted to cover. I briefly touched on the schedules. The scheduling, I think, has a lot of value for some of the other notifiers. With the mobile app, I think the Do Not Disturb really makes it a lot easier. But again, WIN-911 is looking at this as part of our logic to make sure that this person's available on schedule. So we don't currently integrate into Outlook or Google Calendars, but it is kind of a similar look and feel. You can do shift schedules and recurring rolling schedules and things of that manner. And a few more features to cover before we close up and go into the Q&A. I didn't touch on our announcer. This is going to be available to all standard, interactive, and advanced licenses. We don't consider this a notifier. It doesn't have a dedicated notification module. This is a desktop app for text-to-speech playback. So it allows users to play back local audio messages, text-to-speech alarms over PA systems, audio devices. A lot of times it's just over local speakers. Again, this is included as a desktop app. It can be installed on multiple machines. It just requires access, network access. And then the contacts utility is another desktop app. I certainly encourage all of our users to take advantage of. As you notice, this looks very similar to your tactic. This is a separate desktop app. used simply for the alarm escalation. So this allows you to change the call out order, to modify users' schedules and roles, as well as remove existing users from certain groups. Again, this is all Windows authentication, but this is a separate install. You can run it on any PC in the network. You can also embed this to launch from an HMI screen. So it's really just a way to quickly manage and add or remove users to your groups. So before we dive into the Q&A, just a quick product comparison across the chart here. Starting with the left is going to be our standard version. This includes basic notification, scheduling, SMS, and email. Again, the factory talk, alarms and events, server connection is going to be a separate license add-on for all three of these offerings. The interactive is going to be going to give you a little bit of everything. So you do get the scheduling, the basic call out or basic notification list. This does include acknowledgments. So the standard is one way only. So just notifies you out. This does open up the mobile app. So up to 10 users. It does allow for alarm requests as well. And then the advanced is going to give you the advanced escalation and the 25 smartphone seats instead of 10. Now, additional users or seats can be added to both interactive and advanced, and each of these licenses can be functionality upgraded to one or the other. So if you wanted to go from standard to advanced, it would just be the difference of cost within the products. All right. Well, with that said, that's all I've got for today. Thank you very much for your time, and look forward to the Q&A soon. Thank you from WIN-911.